Why are you being racist to other people in other countries? For money! For clout!
I've said it many times. I don't give a f***. I have no morals. I'm a f***ing sociopath. I don't give a f***.
Johnny Somali isn't setting foot back in the US, and it's no mystery why. His reckless actions and offensive antics abroad have put him in serious danger, possibly even risking his life. Let's dive into every shocking moment where Johnny Somali crossed the line. The drama began the moment he touched down in Japan. Almost immediately, he started stirring trouble, throwing out obnoxious remarks on the streets. Furious locals didn't take kindly to his behavior and filed complaints about him disrupting their daily lives. Faced with backlash, Johnny issued a quick "sorry" and managed to squirm his way out of the mess for the time being. But he didn't stop there. Now, he's attempting to pull the same reckless stunts in South Korea. Things took a disturbing turn when he began spewing inappropriate comments and harassing unsuspecting passengers on the train. This wasn't his first subway scandal either. He was already notorious for causing a scene on Japan's subway, doing exactly the same thing. Just wait until you hear the most outrageous thing he said. It'll leave your blood boiling with fury. Johnny Somali had the audacity to mock the World War II tragedy, making an appalling comment about how the US could do it again. The implications of such a statement, boasting about the devastation of millions of lives, are beyond comprehension. To make it worse, he treated it like a joke, even laughing smugly in the background. For that statement alone, Japan would have been justified in taking swift action against him. His arrogance reached a breaking point when he made these comments openly on a crowded train, surrounded by people who could have easily confronted him for his despicable words. But Somali didn't stop. His need for attention drove him to keep pushing boundaries. It got so bad that two fed-up passengers on the subway had to step in, confronting him to shut his offensive behavior down on the spot. Even after that confrontation, Somali was undeterred. Over the next several days, his antics escalated further as he pulled dangerous and reckless stunts like trespassing on construction sites. His desperate clout chasing seemed to know no bounds. The rage against Johnny Somali reached a boiling point, and it wasn't just online. During his live streams in Japan, locals' anger turned into action. He was physically attacked not once, but twice. Yet, even after these incidents, Johnny seemed incapable of learning any lessons from his behavior. Instead, he arrogantly brushed it off, claiming that getting arrested by the police was just free promotion for his content. Things took an ugly turn when he visited Tokyo Disney Resort. What should have been a joyful place for families became another stage for his chaos. First, he blared loud music to disrupt the peaceful atmosphere. But he didn't stop there. He intentionally played songs with offensive lyrics, clearly aiming to provoke people. Johnny even filmed their reactions, grinning smugly as he captured the frustration and discomfort he'd caused. It was all for clout, plain and simple. But his antics didn't stop in Japan. When he arrived in Israel, Johnny managed to up the ante, pulling stunts that were even more appalling. His actions grew nastier and more offensive, veering into overt racism and bullying. At one point, he attended a protest and took it as an opportunity to harass the officers present. All of this was broadcasted live, as if he expected to be rewarded for his vile behavior. Johnny Somali's antics reached a shocking new low when he began directing his provocations at actual police officers. He hurled inflammatory comments during a heated exchange, practically begging for consequences. And unsurprisingly, he got them. While in Israel, Johnny stirred up further controversy by engaging in an explosive argument with local residents. The confrontation escalated to the point where he was beaten severely. Of course, he was live streaming the entire ordeal, which ultimately led to his suspension from Kick for broadcasting violent content. Despite the public humiliation and physical retaliation, Johnny showed no signs of backing down. His next move? A deeply offensive stunt at the Western Wall in Jerusalem, one of the holiest sites in Judaism. As cameras rolled, Johnny pulled out photos of Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and Aiden Ross. Then, in a bizarre and deeply disrespectful act, he began placing the photos on the sacred wall, boldly declaring Weinstein as his ideal. The locals were outraged, and their anger was swift. They called the authorities, who wasted no time apprehending Johnny. His behavior led to his arrest and a 50-day ban from entering Jerusalem. To make matters worse, Johnny, who is Jewish himself, seemed to mock his own faith with these actions, fueling further outrage. He later admitted to being a sociopath and claimed he was doing it all for money. At this point, those words felt all too believable. But even after this, Johnny refused to change. With Jerusalem behind him, he set his sights on South Korea, ready to continue his disturbing quest for attention. When Johnny Somali's streaming views began to plummet and his name faded from the public eye, he decided to reignite his notoriety by heading straight to South Korea. Once there, he wasted no time stirring up trouble, throwing out offensive comments to random people on the streets. His antics escalated when he entered a South Korean 7-Eleven store. Johnny started shouting, throwing items around, and making a complete scene. Customers were visibly uncomfortable as he danced and yelled in the middle of the shop, all while live streaming his chaos. The owner of the store eventually approached him, pleading for him to stop, but Johnny only doubled down. He made it his mission to aggravate her even further, continuing his reckless behavior and leaving the store in complete disarray. But it didn't end there. Johnny set his sights on the Statue of Peace, a deeply symbolic memorial honoring Korean women who were victims of forced wartime slavery. Once he located the statue, he began performing disrespectful and crude actions near it, drawing widespread condemnation. At one point, he went so far as to kiss the statue inappropriately, a move that many described as degrading and deeply offensive. His actions infuriated onlookers, who were appalled by his lack of respect for such a significant symbol of suffering and resilience. The Statue of Peace holds immense cultural and historical significance in South Korea. So Johnny Somali's disrespectful actions quickly ignited a firestorm of outrage online. But unlike his stunts in Japan or Israel, this time he wasn't going to get away unscathed. A prominent South Korean streamer put a bounty worth thousands of dollars on his head, encouraging people to locate him. The tension reached a boiling point when some locals spotted him on the street and physically attacked him. He ended up bleeding after being beaten, a brutal consequence of his own reckless behavior. As expected, Johnny's next move was an insincere apology. He claimed ignorance about the importance of the Statue of Peace, insisting he had no intention of disrespecting South Korean culture. However, his facade quickly crumbled. Not long after, he publicly insulted the country again, shattering any pretense of remorse. Adding fuel to the fire, Johnny collaborated with a Korean streamer, only to later create an AI-generated video of the two of them kissing, which he brazenly broadcasted during a stream. This humiliating act outraged the woman, who promptly reported him to the authorities. The police responded by confiscating his passport, signaling the beginning of his legal troubles in South Korea. But Johnny's reckless decisions didn't stop there. Things took an even darker turn when locals called the police, alleging he was using drugs and behaving erratically under the influence. This latest incident could be the one that derails his life entirely, as his increasingly destructive actions have now brought him face to face with the full weight of the law. Authorities are reportedly conducting tests and building a strong case against Johnny Somali. If convicted, he could be looking at a hefty sentence, potentially 10 to 15 years behind bars, for the trail of chaos he's left behind. In a recent video, Johnny tried to provoke once again by flaunting his emergency passport and flipping off the viewers. But here's the catch: his little stunt won't change a thing. That passport won't help him escape the tight grip of South Korean authorities, who are keeping an unrelenting watch on his every move. So, what do you think? Has Johnny Somali spiraled this far purely for clout and money, or is there something deeper and more disturbing driving his actions? Share your thoughts. Do you think he's just desperate, or is this a reflection of something much darker?